G'day friends and foes, this is Arjay Martin. Can't. The phone's just telling me a message, I can't rotate it or something. But hopefully I'm the right way around and not sideways. It's Arjay Martin. This is TINLA episode 37, I think. TINLA is short for This Is Not Legal Advice, and nor is it. And in today's little TINLA, I'm going to be quickly discussing and talking about there's a meeting, get-together, protest, whatever you want to call it, at 12 until 3 p.m. at Cascade Gardens on the Gold Coast. So I'm here now. They've got like a rotunda there, and that way south, which you have the convention centre, Star Casino, used to be called Jupiter's Casino for many years, etc. So I'll just go for a walk. Am I sideways on a video, or am I the normal way? Please. So anyway, so you've got this massive park here, and it's a dedication war memorial type park. So we have to the south, which is the way I'm going, a Kokoda trail, and it's supposed to have parts that are similar to the Kokoda track in New Guinea, which of course was a fiercely contested battle where Australia tried preventing the Japanese in World War II. Oh, sorry, I'll go this way then. And thank you, Louise. So with Kokoda, switch the camera around. So with Kokoda, it was 1942. It was a hotly contested battle during World War II between the Japanese and Australian/American Allied forces. I'm not sure if the English also, provided some assistance. Perhaps they did, as in, the United Kingdom. And I'll just spin this around. And it was basically to prevent the Japanese from getting Port Stanley. Perhaps I should do some more research before I go live, but this is a rough gist of it. I've only been to this park before to go to the bathroom, but that's because I didn't know about the war memorials here, and that was one time. So as you see, there's a bit of, if you want to call it jungle or wet sclerophyll forest. They aren't really gum trees, so it's not really sclerophyll. And they got this lovely park, and basically tomorrow, I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name, but Dave Oneggs, or Oneggs, he had the idea, and I saw one of his videos promoting coming to this Cascade Gardens tomorrow from midday. And basically part of the story goes that in Victoria they're under a complete lockdown basically, and those people can't really go out, and if they do they'll get massive fines and whatever. But more disturbingly, with these purported COVID cases, then protesters would be blamed for the increasing deaths and whatnot. So basically they can't protest, so there's a bunch of people protesting for them. And also, for the other states' sake, as well as the territories, that, you may as well go and protest while you still can. So, am I still sideways, Tony? I did change the camera around. Anyway, you got this lovely park. It's right next to the Nerang River. And, so they also have a Korean War memorial somewhere. I think that might be in the north of the park. And it'll be lovely to see people come in here tomorrow to, meet up, protest, have a picnic, whatever you want to do. And for Queensland, as a lot of you know, that I know a bit about protesting in Queensland. You can legally have protests in Queensland that aren't authorised, that is without handing a notice to the council and to the police, and then it's not really getting permission, but having them not oppose it. There's a little ibis in the background. There's also the tram, but they do have plenty of parking here. But you are allowed to protest in Queensland, and of course there's these COVID directions, even though they're not even real law, that still apply to people unless they are happy to potentially get, fines and contest it in court. I'm already taking the whole of the COVID directions to court in Queensland in a district court, which may well be removed to the High Court. So basically, when you have a court case that involves the interpretation of the Constitution, or, if you're saying that XYZ is unconstitutional, then you provide things called Section 78B notices, and that's 78B of the Judiciary Act. And basically that goes to all of the Attorneys General in Australia, so the state ones, the territory ones and the federal ones. And then they can intervene under Section 78A of the Judiciary Act. Basically they can, have some input into the case, and it also allows for the case to be sent to the High Court from, District Court, Magistrates Court, technically you could do, or Supreme Court. I'm sure most cases aren't done via the Magistrates Court directly, but that's beside the point. So, as many of you know, I'm arguing that the COVID directions are completely illegal and invalid, and that they are not even operable yet. So in Queensland, under the Statutory Instruments Act, there are certain requirements for subordinate legislation. The COVID directions are classed as exempt subordinate legislation. That is subordinate legislation that hasn't been prepared by the Parliamentary Council, blah, blah, blah. Probably getting into too much technicalities, but basically the directions for them to be in force have to be gazetted, and that has not happened. There's also further requirements that after it has been gazetted, which is notification, so that way the public knows that the directions exist, and it doesn't matter that it's all over the news that, hey, look, you can't be 1.5 metres away from, or within 1.5 metres of people, that kind of thing, because the law's the law. And if you get fined, I'm not saying for tomorrow, but if Joe Bloggs gets fined for, I don't know, speeding or something like that, then I'll just clean this lens. Then you go to court and you say, well, I didn't know that a 60 in a red circle on a sign means you can't go over 60 kilometres an hour, and ignoring exceptions to that. Then they say, well, look, ignorance of the law is no excuse. So the same applies to the state of Queensland. These health directions have been made by Dr. Jeanette Young, who I am suing. I'm also suing the state of Queensland and a police officer in her personal capacity who illegally opposed my protests in Queensland as authorised protests. And then there's other parts to it as well, including being intimidated, harassed, bullied by police, etc. But anyway, so people can still come here and have a picnic. They got barbecue facilities. I'll just flip the camera around again. Maybe 100 car parks, something like that. It does say 50 on the little thing I read about the park, but I'm parked in number 52, so obviously there's more than 50. And then they've got a great playground. Maybe I'll keep walking this way. Including a Liberty swing, which is like a swing that wheelchairs can go on if someone has a MLAC key. If someone's got a disabled child, then the child can go on that swing. They've got other, more regular playground stuff. So maybe this is a Kokoda Memorial, or maybe this is a Korean one. Let's have a look at the sign. But it'll be a great day to show support for your fellow Australians. Can I have a look at that after? I may as well just show it while I'm talking. So, you know, support your fellow Australians, the Victorians that are locked up, and then also hopefully it prevents us from being locked up. In Victoria, they have current rules that, oh, that's really pretty. They have current rules in Victoria that you can only go outside of your house for 1 hour per day. And of course, none of this applies to government workers or government officials because they're essential workers. So they aren't even bound by their own, you know, rules. So it never affects them. It's just like Parliament generally, that, you know, they make rules about superannuation and whatever, and they never have to follow their own rules where, you know, you have to retire when you're 10,000 years old because the rules don't apply to them. Someone's left them a beer. It's interesting, pretty cool. Got some little flowers here. But also in Victoria, for those that don't know, with their 1 hour of time that they're allowed out of the house, then it's only between the hours of 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. You know, it's, people talk about a nanny state. People probably let their 10-year-old kids nowadays out longer than that. You know, not so much a 5 a.m. part, but, you know, if you're 1 minute past 8 in Victoria and you're outside your house and you're not a government official or essential worker or whatever, then, you know, it's bad news for you. You get a massive fine. And do you really want that in Queensland or New South Wales? Victoria's already got it, which, you know, I think Victoria should probably be renamed East Germany. And no wonder they've got people trying to flee Victoria, you know, getting smuggled in cars and stuff like that going across the border, because it just is like East Germany. But, you know, should the same rules apply to Canberra? You know, maybe, even though it's not good for Canberra citizens or residents or whatever, but if the bunch of public servants in Canberra, or the ACT, then, you know, maybe the rules should be made that they have such laws. And of course it shouldn't, and I'm being a bit facetious, but the point is that the laws never apply to these government officials. Does Daniel Andrews, if he's out at 8:02 p.m, get a big fine and locked up if he refuses to comply? Does he really have to wear a mask all the time? I've seen videos of him not wearing a mask lately. So, you know, why doesn't the same rules apply to government officials? They've got interesting names here. It's an honour roll, and presumably it's Gold Coast people who fought and died during the war. And this particular one's for World War II, maybe even just a Kokoda track. Well, there you go, it's a Papua New Guinea campaign. And Australia used to really own Papua New Guinea, if you want to call it ownership, until the 1970s. And then they got their independence, I think it was about 1977. Someone else can, you know, check that or let me know if I'm off with the date. I think I usually am. I think it was under Whitlam though. So maybe 77. But, you know, you got a lovely park here, and it would be great to see as many of you coming out here as possible. Also in other cities and towns throughout Australia, then hopefully this is being replicated. It is tomorrow, that at least the Gold Coast one is, protest / gathering / picnic. Then, you know, hopefully you can look up, or it might be a bit late notice to try and make one now if you're in other states and territories, but, you know, show your support somehow for our fellow Australians, the Victorians in this lockdown, if possible. And do you want me to chat about something else? If anyone wants to write something, I can, you know, deal with that or whatever, as long as it's nothing terrible. There are even people fishing here. I think there still are over there. So catch some lunch and come to the picnic. Can I zoom in on this? I can. See, they got like the Liberty Swing over there. And a fisherman, hopefully he just caught himself some nice fish. I don't advise swimming in the canals because all the bull sharks here. Unless you want to lose some weight quickly, like losing a leg or whatever. But, you know, what are other suggestions you have to help our fellow Victorians? So, with my court case, by the way, I just point out how I'm trying to help as well. Then if I win in Queensland and get these COVID directions overturned in Queensland, which is various grounds for that consequence, as I said, one is it hasn't been gazetted, so there's no notification, so they're inoperative. Yes, it is an awesome memorial, and I've never seen it before. I didn't even know it existed until I saw Dave's video where he was walking through part of the park. And there's also the grounds that it's unconstitutional, including, mainly for my case, sections 69 of the Constitution, where the states, or the colonies that became states, transferred all of quarantine over to the federal government. You also have section 51 subsection 23A to do with compulsory vaccination, as well as technically it could probably be used for the compulsory masking, you know, compulsory medication, etc. So that includes that the government is allowed to provide dental and medical services so long as it does not constitute civil conscription. You also have section 92 with border closures, internal ones as well as the state borders. By internal I mean that, say, in Victoria now, people are only allowed 5 kilometres away from their home, unless they're an essential worker, government worker, that kind of thing. Also, in Queensland we had, for certain areas, there was a 50 kilometre limit, and then 500 kilometre limit for, you know, places out in the middle of whoop whoop, so to speak, away from, you know, town centres, away from hospital facilities, that kind of thing. And thank you, Wayne. Also, the section 117, which involves discrimination between the states, so discrimination of residents from one state to another. So an example of that is in Queensland with these stupid border passes, and, you know, you also have a lot of people might not agree with this, but you know, banning Victorians and New South Wales people from even coming to the state because they're declared emergency areas for COVID-19, which it appears that influenza deaths are just being counted as COVID-19 deaths. And I've provided those sections to a couple of people, so I do have a prospective legal team, but they were waiting on the transcript, which has another little asterisk next to it. And then also to Peter Little, I sent that to him last Monday, I think, and then I saw that he used you know, those sections that I mentioned, 69, 51, subsection 23A, 117 and 92 in one of his videos. So, you know, hopefully that spreads a message. I've also had these videos out saying about those sections for several months, I guess since about April, May, something like that, maybe even March. Then also, what else? You also have things like proportionality as well. I'll just try and read some things. So Wayne says, independence 1972 resulted in the formation of a ministry headed by Chief Minister Michael Samar, I don't know how to pronounce that, who pledged to lead the country to self-government and then to independence. So this is about Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea became self-governing on the 1st of December 1973 and achieved independence on 16 September 1975. Thank you for that. That's very helpful. I always get the dates wrong. If I meet someone from Papua New Guinea, I'm like, oh, we used to own you, ha ha ha, just as a joke, and technically it wasn't really owning, it was a dependency, and then they're sure to correct me, so, but I keep forgetting a date anyway. And then, thank you T as well, and Rusty, Stan, Louise, Tony, Adrian, sorry about being sideways at the start, and they're all the people that commented so far. Another weird magical thing, some skeptical person might say that it's a bit rigged, is that today I received an email from Ausscript. So Ausscript does all of the transcripts for Queensland and perhaps a couple of other states, and I think for the federal courts as well. So the Federal Magistrates Court, which is now renamed the Federal Circuit Court, the Federal Court itself, the Family Court, and the High Court. So I applied, I don't know, when was that? April, May, probably back in June for the transcripts, and then there was an error with the processing of that, so I had to reapply, including for being an impecunious person, i.e. that's a nice way of saying someone's dirt poor, which is my situation. So you can apply for a fee waiver for the transcript, and then I reapplied, and then it was up to 2 weeks for the Attorney General of Queensland to approve or not approve the fee waiver, so you don't have to pay money for the transcript. And then from there I did apply for it for the next day after approval, but then they said no, we don't do it for the next day with the fee waivers, we only do 10 days. And then it was due to be, there's a boat coming, so it was due that the transcript would arrive at 5 PM yesterday. Then I received a message today saying, hey, look, your case doesn't appear to exist, are you sure that, I'll just wait till the boat goes past. Wouldn't you arrive in style if you pulled up to this park in a boat? That'd be pretty cool. But with the transcript, so I received a message basically saying that the transcript doesn't exist, and to confirm the date and what magistrate it was, what courthouse, and the file number. So it was the 29th of May 2020 at Southport Courthouse. The magistrate was Mackenzie, and it was M529/20, I think, the file number. So apparently the transcript and audio don't exist, supposedly. Some people might suggest there's some kind of cover-up happening, but maybe it's just an error, of course. And then on that email it also says that you please confirm the details, and after you've confirmed it, if we end up finding it, this is very paraphrased, then you'll have to wait another 10 days. A problem being that the next time we're in court at the District Court in Southport is on the 21st. I'm not sure what time yet, but I'll just go there first thing in the morning, because the police did a little trick, it appears, where they said there was a 20-minute hearing from 10 a.m. on the 31st of last month, I think it was, and then it turns out it was 9:30, but luckily it was adjourned. And with that particular application by the police, they're trying to claim that the district court has no right to hear, or no jurisdiction, is another way of putting it, to hear appeals from the Peaceful Assembly Act in 1992, Queensland, which I submit is a load of garbage. But, you know, we'll see what happens on the 21st. But, you know, it would be helpful to have the transcript before that, with the prospective legal team, barrister, solicitor. Then, you know, they need the transcript before they even work out if they're going to take on the case. And if I have to do the case myself, then, you know, so be it. But, you know, it's not very fair playing these games, if it is games and not just, you know, coincidence. So, you know, I think there was a fish jump, or maybe it was a cane toad just jumped into the water there. Sorry, I'm easily distracted. So anyway, so I'll do another video. I'd probably get a couple of TINLA videos out there, maybe even a couple more today, including topics that have been going around, including about Adrian John Wells, who claims that ScoMo was a convicted paedophile who supposedly raped him, some kind of stuff like that, which I dispute. Not disputing that XYZ happened, but I'll explain why in another video, which I'll do probably, I don't know, soon maybe. And what other topics should I cover? Because I keep them as separate little videos, just because, you know, it's easier for people to find what they want. And this battery is going to die, so I guess I won't do that other video next. But basically, you know, there are weirdos in Parliament and weirdos in society, but people shouldn't throw out, you know, baseless accusations, and I'll get into why in that video. But anyway, so a summary is tomorrow at noon, and then going until 3 p.m. at Cascade Gardens. For those on or near the Gold Coast, there's a gathering at this park, and it'd be great to see you. Come along. It's not my protest or whatever, but, you know, if police come to harass or something like that, then of course I can speak to them. But so it's not me originating the protest, if that makes sense. And then, you know, you can come here, look at this war memorial, or the Korean one. You can bring your children. Of course, you know, social distancing would still apply, even though it's not even the real law. But, you know, you can still meet people. And with the social distancing, it is a bit vague anyway, or has loopholes, if you want to call it loopholes, but it's not really loopholes, that it only applies where reasonably practicable to apply. So, what's that? Looks like someone's skull or something. There's bone of some kind. Okay then. I don't think people's skulls normally have a big bump on the top, so I imagine it's not a human. But anyway, that's a bit weird. So, you know, and I can bring my phone and interview people like I've been doing for many years. You know, go to protests and find out why people are attending, what's important to them, like why they're at the protest. And then I've just got to find a bin for this fishing line I just picked up, and, you know, you can just hang out or whatever. Anyway, so I'll bugger off now. Thank you all for watching. You know, I think it's very important to stick up for Victorians as well as ourselves. And, you know, have a great day. Bye. Please like, share, get the message out. I'm also going to, I did try and post it, but I'm not sure if it posted properly. But I sent some messages back and forth with Dave Onigs. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your surname. But a few days ago asking if he was doing an event page. And he said he was going to, and I see today that there's one up. So I put that on the Arjay Martins for Australians page. So you can find it there. Okay, thank you. Bye.